Sarah Mitchell never imagined she would find herself here, standing in a convenience store at midnight, counting every penny to buy milk for her child. She is a single mother in a small town on the outskirts of Pennsylvania, a place where everyone knows each other's names, but few offer real help. In her wallet, she has only $2.43, not enough to buy the can of powdered milk for Liam, her 6-month-old son, sleeping in the stroller beside her. Liam lies there, his knit cap covering his head, his cheeks pink but slightly pale from the cold. Sarah walked 2 blocks in the rain to get here after a long shift at the diner. Today's tips were only enough to buy a loaf of bread and pay the electric bill. This can of milk is the last thing she needs to ensure Liam goes to bed with a full stomach tonight. She counts the money again, hoping she miscalculated, but the total remains the same. She thinks about tomorrow, when she must wake early to drop Liam at daycare, then rush to the diner to serve demanding customers. Her life is an endless cycle of long days, mounting bills, and short nights of sleep. Mandy, the young woman behind the counter, looks at Sarah with sympathetic eyes. "You are short $1.75, Mandy says, her voice soft to avoid adding to Sarah's distress. Sarah nods, rummaging through her coat pockets, but finds only a crumpled bus ticket and a candy wrapper. She looks at Liam, her heart heavy. "I will come back later," she says, her voice trembling, preparing to push the stroller away. But then a deep voice speaks from behind her. "I will pay." Sarah turns around. A black man, around his mid-40s, stands there, wearing a gray wool coat, his short, curly hair lightly flecked with gray. He holds a small shopping basket with a few items, a loaf of bread, a box of instant coffee, and a light brown teddy bear. He steps to the counter, sets his basket down, and looks at Mandy. "Add this milk to my bill," he says, then turns to Sarah. "And add a pack of diapers, the best kind you have." Sarah blinks, unsure what to say. She looks at Liam, then back at the man. I cannot accept this," she stammers, feeling a mix of gratitude and embarrassment. He smiles, a gentle but genuine smile that reveals faint lines around his eyes. "It is all right," he says. "I have been in your shoes. I know how it feels." Mandy starts scanning the items, glancing at Sarah as if to check if she is okay. Sarah nods, though her mind is still reeling. She thinks about the times she had to choose between food for Liam and gas for the car. And now, a black stranger with a warm voice is helping her without asking for anything in return. The man pays quickly, handing his credit card to Mandy. Sarah stands there, gripping the stroller's handle tightly, searching for words. "Thank you," she finally says, her voice soft but sincere. "I don't know how to repay you." He shakes his head, his eyes kind. "You do not need to repay anything. Just take care of this little boy." He looks at Liam, now awake, his big round eyes staring back. Liam reaches out with a tiny hand, as if trying to touch the teddy bear in the man's basket. Mandy hands Sarah the bag, now containing the milk, diapers, and a pack of baby crackers the man added. Sarah takes it, feeling the bag's weight far greater than she expected. She pushes the stroller toward the door, the rain still falling steadily outside, but a small warmth grows in her chest. She turns to say another thank you, but the man has walked to the back of the store, disappearing behind the aisles. Sarah does not know who he is, but his eyes, as if he truly understands her struggles, linger in her mind. Sarah returns to her small apartment, a rented room on the 2nd floor of an old building. The light from an old table lamp casts shadows on the peeling walls, and the sound of rain taps against the window. She mixes the milk for Liam, watching him drink eagerly, his eyes slowly closing. She sits in an old armchair, holding Liam close, and thinks about the black man in the store. He did not ask her name, did not boast, did not seek attention. He simply helped. She reflects on her life. A divorce a year ago, when her ex-husband left without looking back, leaving her with Liam and a pile of debt. She works at the diner from morning to night, but her wages barely cover expenses. The moment in the store reminds her of her own mother, who once shared stories of struggling to raise her. Sarah vows to pay it forward someday, when she can. She decides to visit the community support center that weekend, to pick up supplies and maybe find a way to give back. A week later, Sarah pushes the stroller into the community support center, where she often gets free food and supplies for Liam. Liam is chewing on a plastic toy. At the distribution counter, she is surprised to see the man from the store. He wears the same gray coat, stacking boxes of food for the line of people. He looks up, catches her eye, and smiles. "Are you doing okay?" he asks, as if they have known each other for years. Sarah nods, a bit shy. "I'm fine." "Thank you. For last time." He waves it off with a smile. "It was nothing. I am Daniel, by the way." Sarah smiles, her first of the day. "I am Sarah. This is Liam." Daniel leans down, waving at Liam, who giggles in response. "Cute kid," he says, then returns to his work, as if helping her that night was just a small gesture. Sarah takes her supplies but lingers longer, watching Daniel assist others, a mother with 2 children, an elderly man needing food. Sarah realizes Daniel is more than a passerby. He is a regular volunteer at the center, always there during distribution days. He talks to everyone with respect, never acting superior. One day, while Sarah waits in line for milk, Daniel approaches and asks if she wants a cup of coffee. "Just coffee, nothing fancy," he says, pointing to an old coffee machine in the corner. They sit with paper cups in hand. Sarah shares about her job at the diner, the long shifts, the meager pay, and how she worries about Liam every day. Daniel listens without interrupting. When she pauses, he says, "I worked in a steel mill for 15 years, but then I got laid off. My wife, she passed away from illness that year." He pauses, staring at his coffee. "I know what it is like to fight every day. There were times I could not afford food for my daughter." Sarah looks at him, surprised by his openness. "Where is your daughter now?" she asks. Daniel smiles sadly. "She grew up, went to college. But we lost touch years ago. I just try to do my best." Sarah feels a connection, as if he is sharing a part of his life few others know. That conversation changes how Sarah sees Daniel. He is not just the man who paid for her milk, but someone who understands her struggles. One day, Daniel hands her a business card with the address of a small sewing factory in town. "They need hard workers," he says. "I know the owner. If you want, I can put in a word for you." Sarah takes the card, hesitant. She fears change, fears failure. She tells Daniel about her ex-husband, how he left her with debts. Daniel nods. "I was scared too." But sometimes a small chance can change everything. Sarah thinks it over all night, watching Liam sleep, and decides to call the factory the next morning. Sarah gets hired at the sewing factory. The work is tough. She must learn to use industrial machines, work long shifts, but the pay is steadier than the diner, and she gets weekends off. For the first time, she buys new clothes for Liam without counting every penny. She starts saving, even if just a little, for her son's future. She tells Daniel about her first day, how she made mistakes, but her co-workers helped. She visits the community center weekly, not just for supplies, but to see Daniel. They talk about small things, how Liam started crawling, or how Daniel fixed a bike for a neighborhood kid. One day, when Liam has a mild fever, Daniel suggests a community clinic and drives her there in his car. On the way, he shares more about his life, growing up in a tough neighborhood where black men like him were often met with suspicion. "But I learned that if you live kindly, people see it," he says. Months pass, and Sarah is no longer just a single mother struggling to survive. She becomes active at the center, helping distribute supplies to others. She teaches a few mothers to sew small gifts, like the handkerchief she gave Daniel with a leaf embroidered on it. Daniel keeps it in his pocket, saying it reminds him why he does this work. Sarah feels part of a community where people give as much as they take. Daniel is always there, quietly helping. Sarah learns more about him, how he lost his family, how he rebuilt his life from nothing. He never seeks pity, only shares to show others they can rise again. One day, Sarah brings Liam to the center, and Daniel gives her a pair of tiny shoes for him. "This kid is growing fast," he says, laughing. Sarah laughs back, her heart lighter than ever. One afternoon, while sorting supplies at the center, Daniel shares a story. "When I was a kid," he says, "my mother was a single mom too. Once, she could not afford milk for me. A stranger paid for it. I never knew his name, but I never forgot. That is why I am here." Sarah listens, feeling a strange connection. She recalls a faint memory from childhood when her mother was helped in a store. She digs through her mother's old keepsake box and finds a faded photo. In it, a young black man stands next to her mother at a grocery store, smiling. Sarah brings the photo to the center and asks Daniel if he recognizes it. He looks at it, his eyes widening. "That is me," he says, his voice thick with emotion. "I lived in your mother's town. I helped her, just like I helped you." Sarah hugs him, tears streaming down her face. This twist makes their bond deeper, like a perfect circle of kindness. A year later, Sarah is promoted to team leader at the sewing factory, managing a small group of workers. She moves to a larger apartment with a window overlooking a park where she takes Liam to play. She remains a regular volunteer at the center, working alongside Daniel. They start skills classes, from sewing to basic repairs, helping others find jobs. Sarah shares her story at meetings, urging people not to give up. But the real climax comes when the center faces a crisis. A major storm damages the roof, and they lack funds to repair it. Sarah and Daniel organize a fundraiser, rallying the community. Sarah stands before the crowd, sharing her journey and revealing the twist about Daniel's connection to her mother. She explains how his kindness changed her life, and now she wants to give back. The crowd is moved, and donations exceed expectations. Daniel hugs Sarah, whispering, "We did it." The story does not end there. One day, Sarah receives a letter from Daniel's daughter, who lost touch with him years ago. She read about the fundraiser online and comes to the center. Sarah arranges for Daniel to reunite with his daughter, a tearful moment as they embrace. Daniel thanks Sarah, saying she not only saved the center, but brought his family back. This twist shows that kindness does not just change the recipient, it ripples outward, touching others. Sarah and Daniel's story is not a fairy tale. It has no perfect endings or grand miracles. But it is about small acts, moments of kindness, and how they can transform a life. A can of milk, a word of encouragement, a chance. These things brought Sarah from darkness to light, and she passed it on. The twist of Daniel's past and his reunion with his daughter make it all more meaningful, a reminder that kindness comes full circle. If this story makes you believe that kindness still exists, that a stranger, no matter who they are, can change someone's world, share it. Let stories like this remind us that, no matter how hard life gets, there is always someone ready to lend a hand. Keep spreading compassion, because out there, a Sarah, a Liam, or a Daniel is waiting for a moment that changes everything.